Hello guys and welcome back to my budget channel. Today with the Go First variant of the new deck that just came out, well basically a little while ago, but that is still alright. I made a Go First variant because I felt like that it synergized well with some of the trap cards that exist in this game, and in general that they could then come back a little bit better turn 3, because I tried to make it build go second kind of, but you can't really play through a disruption that well with the deck, but the deck also needs quite a lot of material actually to pop off, so it's kind of hard to get your plays through, because you need like tribute fodder, you need tribute summonable monsters possibly, and getting off this together in the second turn with the opponent having a lot of negates, you having to basically play a lot of hand traps. It more likely didn't go well. Like, I'm not saying you can't. I think there's a build that will put out at one point that you can, but this is Go First. There's no lights ones in here, even though I feel like the deck kind of would work a little bit with it, but we'll start right off. I ran double Darkness Simorgh because you can search this card. Technically, you only have to run one because you can dump it into the graveyard with Foolish Burial to get this effect of being able to special summon it. Plus, you already have two, but if you draw one and you actually get double Simorgh Onslaught, then you don't have a target anymore to search. So I felt like, especially with the deck being a little bit more stally, you kind of want to have at least 3 Darkness Simorgh monsters in your deck. Well, you can always cut one card, but I felt like that ratio was kind of fine. That being able to negate spell trap card effects is also quite nice. Being able to special summon it, I think, from hand and graveyard, it is in general pretty nice. That's actually just says from the graveyard or hand. Yeah, okay, that's actually what I thought. Next one, Simorgh Bird of Ancestry. It's good if you're going like turn 3, but if it's not that good if you're going first, because you can actually bounce 2 cards of your opponent, which is pretty strong. It's bounced into its hand, so that can be problems, but he'll probably at this point have either extra deck monsters, or you want to go for the finishing blow, so you actually can move back row or whatever you like. Plus that's wit monster, so you can search it off, but mainly you want to go for one of the darkest ones, because you probably search the low level ones. Another win one is the Lord of the Storm. You can basically use it in connection with Icarus attack and just decimate your opponent's boards. That can be quite helpful. It's some kind of disruption. It's not negation, but it's my form of disruption that is destruction, which isn't as hard as the negation, but it can destroy a lot of decks that depend on the normal summon, for example. It is quite annoying against, I think, Salamangreats at the point as well, if you manage to go first. Dark Simorgh can be super neat against back row decks. Like, back row decks die hard against this card because what they're going to do, but they're trying to go first anyway, so that's a little bit of a difference here. Other than that, this card is somewhat easily special summonable. It's not that easy, but you can. Plus, you can easily tribute summon it, so in the end, this card works pretty well in this deck. One tech card I decided to go, I ran one Harpy Harpist. You could run 3, but I feel like it's more of a turn 3 kind of card, because you can actually target one winged beast type monster you control, and on face of monster your opponent controls and turn them into the hand. So that is kind of neat, because you can get the monsters or the small silver monsters back from the graveyard. So you'll most likely have one winged beast type monster on your field that you can easily bounce, then get the normal summon effect back from this card. Sadly, this card is not searchable, so it's more of a cheeky little tech card that can come in handy. Plus, you kind of need more level 4 lower monsters in the deck, otherwise you sometimes don't have play. Plus, if the card is in the graveyard because it was sent to this turn, you can add one level 4 winged beast type monster with 1500 or less attack from your deck to the hand, which worked well for this one. Sadly, this is the worst one, but well, it doesn't state level 4 or lower, so we have to deal with what we can get. This guy is basically in the deck, so you have a card that you can normal summon, and also a card that works well in the graveyard with its own effect. Because other than that, you can target one card in your opponent's spell and traps and return to the hand. Not gonna be that useful most of the time, but can come in handy. Sometimes you still want to max out on it, because there is not many better ones. If you want to make the ratio so you're on triple Harpist and only one of them, that is also possible. Once triple Simorgh Bird of Calamity, getting stuff to the graveyard like the Darkness Simorgh, like other ones of the small ones, so you can special summon them, can be quite nice. You could technically even dump the Onslaught, but you probably don't want to. Simorgh Bird of the Bringing, not beginning, but Bringing, is actually one of the best searches of the Soul deck. It searches any Simorgh card, not just a monster or a spell and trap card, so you can use this to extend your combos in any way. This deck is quite, because of those kind of effects, is quite easily disruptible with hand traps. That's why you run triple Called by the Grave. Triple Simorgh Bird of Beginning, not the best card if you only start with one monster, or you can't summon any of the other ones, but it gives you an extra normal summon if you have another of your low level ones. It also supports the Harpist kind of combo. That's what I actually originally wanted to play go second. Well, it doesn't really support it because you can only normal summon one Simorgh monster in addition to it, but you technically can get more monsters onto the board if you normal summon this card, for example, with the field spell and so on. So this can be quite nice, but yeah, you know what I mean. It's a good card, but it's not a perfectly well designed card in my opinion. Simorgh Arrival is one of the best searches in this deck. You can dump one card to the graveyard. Most likely you want to either go for the darkness one or go for one of the small ones, because you can special summon them then and then search whatever card you need. I run Double Desires if you want to make the deck a little bit more competitive but not as budget. Then Pot of Extravagance is probably the way to go, because this card has no real downsides in this deck, because the deck doesn't really need the extra deck too much. I would run 3 Extravagance, but I only would run 2 Desires, because there's a lot of cards you don't want to get rid of, but you kind of have to sometimes. So Path of Desires isn't my first choice, but you kind of need the draw in the first turn. Foolish Burial, you have a lot of cards you want in the graveyard, like the Darkness one and the small ones. Called by the Grave, because, well, it's a disruption kind of in your opponent's turn. If he doesn't have hand traps, if he hand traps you, that can save your ass pretty much. Triple a field spell, because the field spell actually helps you extend your plays. It's not much of a play starter, but it's a play extender, because you get another normal summon and they can not stack, but if you use them after another, then that works with level 1, so that can be helpful. Plus there's exactly 2 monsters in the deck where you can use the effect on to reduce its level, which can be quite neat since you can search them, so you have a lot of ways to actually get into them. Triple Icarus attack, since your monsters come back from the graveyard, so you easily can use them for that kind of shenanigans. Triple Harpy Featherstorm, first of all, you can easily go into the Harpy Link monster, so you could use it from your hand, plus all you need is a Wind-Winged Beast type monster, and you can disrupt basically your whole opponent's turn and then build up from that. Solemn Judgment to protect your back row, protect your monsters, and to stop your opponent from doing annoying things. And Solemn Warning against decks like Pendulums, where they could screw you over regardless. There's other things that you could play. You could play like the Anti-Spell Fragrance, like a combination with Dark Simorgh, but in the end, I felt like that was too much of a specific combo to actually run it. You could definitely, or should probably definitely run it in the side deck if you're planning on going to tournaments with this kind of deck, because Pendulum's on the rise. For the extra deck, a little bit of rank 8 kind of shenanigans, because you can do that somewhat easily, but you will probably get the levels of some cards down a little bit, so it's not actually that easy sometimes. That's why I only played 2. Ice Beast Zerifying, because a Winged Beast type monster, so that helps with the restriction of only being able to special summon Winged Beast monsters after you bring them back from the graveyard. Same goes for the Raid Raptor Blade Burner Falcon, because the other one actually needs 3, that only needs 2. It's a little bit annoying that you can't really run over Monster Battle unless your opponent's life point is 3,000 higher than yours, but this card can come in clutch, but it's more of a comeback card, which you necessarily don't want to have in this kind of deck. Plus the monsters are all different levels, so getting out 2 level 4s is quite the task. One Brawl Low Dragon, basically the cheapest link for that, so worth something. This card, when it comes out, because it's a Winged Beast Link monster and the effect is somewhat alrightish, so I thought I would include it in here, put in the extra deck till the time till it comes out, wherever you want. One Deco Talker, Triple Harpy Conductor, the effect is somewhat neat, somewhat helpful sometimes. Could play double or triple the Firefighting Daruma Doll if you want, because it basically helps a little bit more sometimes, but with this card you can actually get the Featherstorm from your hand, but in general you can put into the extra deck whatever you want. One card you could play is the Dragunity Knight Romulus, but it costs a little bit much, so I wouldn't recommend to. Landfall Link is basically as a normal one if you happen to play other cards, for example like the Crackdown, and you want to steal opponent's monster and you want to go into a Link monster, but you basically won't need that. And one Almirage, it's a little bit pricey, you don't have to play it, but I think it's quite neat in the deck. You can protect your Simorghs, and it's quite easy to get out, plus then you can get a monster from your graveyard back onto the board, so that works out somewhat well, but you don't have to. That is just a suggestion. Linkuribu works still for your level 1 monster, for example. There's a lot of things that do. If you want to run other cards, rather than the Simorghs. You could play Mist Valley, Apex Avian, because the field spell would work on it too, because it doesn't have to be Simorgh, but you couldn't search, so you'd have to play probably 3, and that would come in quite cloggy just for 1 negate. It's probably not worth it. Could play Storm Shooter, can be a nice card for turn 3 then, same as Primaterial Falcon. Well, that's actually more of a card for first turn, but I felt like both of them are not as, yeah, you don't really need them, so I wouldn't put them in. Power of Desires, that is if you want to play 3 of them. You could play 1 Simorgh Rejection, but going first, it's useless, and technically you probably can stop your opponent from setting cards anyway, so it can be helpful, but more as a side deck card. Stuff like Big Cattle Drive, if you actually kind of wanted like a... it's like an upstart goblin, but I don't think you want to run it. Cattle Call could be nice if you have some extra deck strategies that this card would enable, but I didn't feel like that that was the case. Trap Chick would work because you could search Featherstorm as well as Icarus Attack, but it's kind of pricey, so I didn't include it. Crackdown, if you don't want to go for the judgments maybe, then Crackdown is the card you're looking for because it helps you get in tribute fodder, and that's what the deck kind of needs at least, or going into link monsters. And Simorgh Sky Battle is a card that I did not decide to run. You can search it, so you could play that one, but I felt like the effect of having a higher level 7 or higher monster that has Darkness and Wind, it didn't come out that much. Like, it actually, because you need 2 monsters with that, so it doesn't work with like, oh yeah, I have 1 monster that has both. It's not happening a lot. It's really not happening a lot, so I felt like this card wasn't doing the trick. Hope you enjoyed the deck profile. There will be some replays probably at one point, but I'm going to summer break for now, and I hope you're having a good day.